Hi students. Let me explain all the questions in that assignment. But before that, let me give you 2 or 3 guidelines. You keep these guidelines in mind while solving any assignment, even in future, not only for this assignment. In that, the first point is you should always try a question before seeing the solution, before watching the solution video. You should at least minimum, you should give it a 2 trials. You try it once, okay, if you get it, no problem. If you don't get it, try it again. Don't give it up. Don't get tempted whenever you receive solutions, let us see solutions, so don't do like that. This is one thing. And second thing is that whenever you solve a question in the assignment, you can use a calculator. Of course, calculator is not allowed in the exam. And in the exam, very simple calculations are given in all the exams, JEE Advanced, JEE Mains, NEET, MCET, in all the exams. Very simple calculations are given. So you won't find any hard calculation in the exam. So that is the reason why they don't allow calculator. But at home, while doing the assignment, you can use the calculator. If you spend time in solving a big expression, then it will be a sheer waste of time for you. Because in that you won't learn chemistry, in that you won't learn physics. So don't waste time in solving big expressions. Some arithmetic. Don't waste time in that particular part. So you see the concept, form the expression first, be careful about the units, then leave the calculation to the calculator. So these are the 2 guidelines you keep in mind, even in future also. So let me start with this particular assignment. Let me come to the first question. Actually, in this question, 2 grams of A, 2 grams of a gaseous substance A is introduced into an initially evacuated vessel. So nothing was there, vacuum. Now you put A into that at a temperature 25 degrees Celsius. So T is equal to 298 Kelvin. So don't forget to convert the Celsius scale into Kelvin scale. Then the pressure is found to be 101.325 kilopascal. So that means 101.325 Pascal. The vessel is again evacuated. That means A is removed and 3 grams of another gas B. So 3 grams of another gas B was introduced. Then the pressure is found to be 50.6625 kilopascal. This is the pressure. And actually, in the question, when B was introduced, he did not mention anything about temperature. So we can take temperature to be constant. Unless otherwise mentioned, if nothing is mentioned about the temperature, we can take it as constant. So same temperature, 298 Kelvin, T is equal to 298 Kelvin. And in the question, nowhere he talked about the volume. We do not know the volume of the vessel. Then what he is asking? He is asking the molar mass ratio, molar mass of A upon molar mass of B. This he is asking. Now, how do you calculate this? We do not know volume. We do not know number of moles. We know pressures. We know temperature. Now, if you use PV is equal to nRT, then pressure of A 101.325 kilopascal. This is pressure of A into volume of A, which is unknown. So let me write down VA, that is equal to number of moles of A. How can I write down number of moles? Given mass upon molar mass, mass in grams upon molar mass in gram per mole. So given mass of A is 2. So 2 grams upon MA gram per mole. As I told you already, you concentrate on the concept, forming the expression, and leave everything else to the calculator. Okay, this is number of moles into R. I am not writing the value of R actually, because it is not necessary, and you will see actually why it is not necessary, into temperature. So temperature is, let me write down just capital T. Anyway, temperature is same. Now, if you write down the same expression for gas B, then 50.6625 kilopascal into volume of B, that is equal to weight of gas B taken, that means mass of gas B 3 grams and its molar mass mb gram per mole into R into T. Now let us take the ratio of these two. Now I think, I hope you all got it, the expression. Actually I used PV is equal to nRT only, and I have written N in detail. So I have written N as given mass upon molar mass into RT. That's it. So if you take the ratio of these two, temperature of both the gases same, they get cancelled. R anyway get cancelled. Kilopascal and kilopascal units are same, so this goes 2 times in this. Now volume of A is equal to volume of B, because you have kept A and B one after the other in the same vessel. So volume of A is equal to volume of B, so they get cancelled, and now you will get molar mass of A upon molar mass of B is equal to 1 upon 3. So this is the answer. Now let us come to the second question. Certain mixture of helium and argon, it is a gas mixture. One gas is helium, another gas is argon. The total mass of these two is 5 grams. Total mass is given. Individual masses are not given. Together they occupy a volume of 10 decimeter cube at 25 degrees Celsius and 101.325 kilopascal. What is the mass percentage of helium in the mixture? So in that given 5 grams, what actually is the mass of helium? And the rest is argon. Suppose if X is the mass of helium, 5 minus X will be the mass of argon. So he is asking X upon 5 into 100, mass percentage of helium. Mass of helium upon total mass into 100. You know, that is what is mass percentage. Okay. Now let me take here mass of helium, that is equal to X gram. Then obviously mass of argon is equal to 5 minus X gram. Now we want X upon 5 into 100. So that means if you get the X value, then almost you will get the answer. Okay, now pressure is given to you. One thing, pressure of both the gas together is given to you. Temperature is given to you. Volume is given to you. Now how do you calculate the x? Now if you write the data, volume is equal to 10 decimeter cube. Now can I write down 10 decimeter cube is nothing but 10 liter? Do you agree all of you? 10 decimeter cube is equal to 10 liter. Now temperature is given, that is 25 degrees Celsius. So it is 298 Kelvin. And pressure is given, that is 101.325 kilopascal. Now you can write it as 101.325 Pascal. And actually, if you remember in our previous classes, I told you that atmospheric pressure at sea level, that means 1 atm. 1 atm is almost equal to 10 power 5 Newton. That time I told you almost equal to, not exactly equal to. But let me tell you, 1 atm is exactly equal to how many newtons per meter square? That is 1 atm is equal to, exactly equal to 101.325 pascals. That means 101.325 Newton per meter square. And 1 bar is equal to exactly 10 power 5 Pascal. That is equal to 10 power 5 Newton per meter square. So for all practical purposes, 1 atm and 1 bar, they are almost same, not much difference. But if you want the exact values, then yeah, these are the relations. Okay. So now I can write down 101.325 Pascal is equal to 1 atm. Now this is a given data. Okay. Now one more thing. Here 10 liters. So can I write down that is equal to 10 into 10 power minus 3 meter cube? Because 1000 decimeter cube is equal to 1 meter cube. And 1 decimeter cube is nothing but 1 liter. Okay. Now let us apply PV is equal to nRT. PV is equal to nRT, and you can also write this as N is equal to given mass upon molar mass into R into T. Now let me substitute all the data in this expression. Now pressure is equal to 101.325 pascals. I am taking everything in the SI system into volume, that is 10 into 10 power minus 3 meter cube, that is volume, that is equal to N. Actually we have helium and argon. So we have taken the total pressure here and we have taken the volume of the vessel here, and in that volume both gases are present. And obviously in such a case, N must be the total moles. See, here if you have taken only the partial pressure of helium, only the pressure due to helium, then you take number of moles of helium. But we have taken total pressure, so number of moles must be total moles. So we can write down, in the case of moles, we can write down X grams helium mass upon helium molar mass, 4 gram per mole plus 5 minus X grams upon argon molar mass is 40 gram per mole. These are the total number of moles, and we have taken everything in SI system. So into R value. So what is the value of R in SI system? 8.314 joule per mole per Kelvin and into temperature, that is 298 Kelvin. And now you see the expression. Pressure in pascals, volume in meter cube, and these are the total number of moles. Actually here you can take x in kg. In that case molar mass will be kg per mole and the conversion factor get cancelled. Similarly here also you can take mass in kg and then molar mass will be kg per mole and again the conversion factor get cancelled. So that is the reason everywhere else you are seeing SI system, but only in the case of number of moles you are seeing grams CGS system, because it is the ratio. It is the ratio and the conversion factor get cancelled. So that is the reason I did not care about that. Okay, if you want you can write down kg here, kg per mole, then whatever may be the conversion factor into 10 power minus 3, that get cancelled. X into 10 power minus 3 kg, 4 into in kg, 4 into 10 power minus 3 gram. So 10 power minus 3 and 10 power minus 3 get cancelled. And R in joule per mole per Kelvin, 8.314. Now you can calculate the X value. Everything else is known to you except X. Now for example, if you don't want to use SI system, you want to take pressure in ATM, but in that case volume must be in liters. In such a case, R must be in liter ATM per mole per Kelvin. Let me form that expression also. So pressure 1 ATM, so 1 into 10 liters. Let me write down the units also. 1 ATM into 10 liters, that is equal to number of moles, same, x grams upon 4 gram per mole. These are the moles of helium, plus 5 minus x gram upon 40 gram per mole into, now the R value must be 0.0821 liter ATM per mole per Kelvin into 298 Kelvin. Now you solve this expression or that expression, you will get the same value of X, and mass percentage of helium, percentage mass of helium which he is asking, that is equal to X upon 5 is the total mass, X grams upon 5 grams into 100. Now this is the final expression and you will get the answer. Now let us come to the third question. Here actually we have a flask of volume 2 liters. Initially it contains oxygen at some pressure given to you, temperature is also given to you. Then that flask was connected to a vacuum pump. Actually, what is the role of vacuum pump? Vacuum pump sucks air. It withdraws air from a particular vessel and it tries to create vacuum. Although perfect vacuum cannot be created, that means pressure is 0. Perfect vacuum means pressure 0. That is impossible. But you can decrease the pressure. 10 power minus 3 ATM, 10 power minus 4 ATM, minus 5 ATM. So like that you can create near vacuum conditions. Perfect vacuum is not possible. So this is what is the role of vacuum pump. So when you connect the flask to such a vacuum pump, the final pressure is found to be 0.1 Pascal. Initially 101.325 kilopascal, 1,01,325 Pascal initially, and final pressure is 0.1 Pascal. So enormously decreased. Pressure is enormously decreased. Then what he is asking two questions actually. What will be the volume of the gas which is left behind? What is the volume of the gas which is left behind? And what amount of oxygen will be left behind? Okay. Now, first let me write the given data. Volume of the gas is equal to 2 liters, 2 decimeter cube. So 2 liters. Now we all know gas cannot have its own volume. Gas occupies the volume available to it. So whenever someone says that volume of a particular gas is X liters, so that means X liters is the volume of the vessel. It is not the volume of the gas. Volume of the vessel itself is the volume of the gas. You keep the same amount of gas in 1 liter vessel, then volume of the gas will be 1 liter. So 2 liters is the volume of the vessel, and obviously that will be the volume of the gas. Okay. Now the pressure is given to you, that is 101.325 kilopascal, and I told you this is exactly equal to 1 atm, exactly equal to 1 atm, not approximately, and it is approximately equal to 1 bar. Temperature is given to you, that is 300 Kelvin, and in that we have oxygen gas. And now you connected this flask to a vacuum pump, and that vacuum pump removed almost the entire oxygen. Only small amount of oxygen is left in the flask, and we came to know about that by seeing the pressure, because pressure has enormously been reduced from 101.325 Pascal to 0.1 Pascal. So almost the entire oxygen has been removed. Only small amount is left in the flask. So now the first question, what is the volume of the remaining oxygen? Volume of the remaining oxygen. Now it is 2 liters. We need not do anything here, because volume of the flask remains constant. Whenever you connect the flask to a vacuum pump, nothing happens to volume of the flask, and volume of the flask is nothing but the volume of the gas. In the flask, whatever may be the amount of oxygen present, initially there is large amount of oxygen, then also 2 liters. Now only very small amount of oxygen is left, even then also it is 2 liters. Because volume of the flask is not going to change whenever it is connected to a vacuum flask. So that is 2 liters final. Okay. Now if you come to the B part, what is the amount of oxygen left in that flask, and what is the SI unit of amount of a substance, that is mole. You know, mole is the SI unit of amount. Okay, so now we can write down N is equal to P into V upon RT. We can rearrange PV is equal to nRT like that, because we want N. And you see pressure. So final pressure is equal to 0.1 Pascal. 0.1 Pascal, yes. There is no change in temperature. TF is equal to 300 Kelvin. And even in the first question also I told you, if nothing is mentioned about a particular property, you can take it as constant. Suppose if you see the third question, then vacuum pump is connected, pressure reduced, vacuum pump generates low pressures. Nowhere it is given what is happening to temperature. Initially 300 Kelvin is given, but after that he did not mention about temperature. So temperature can be taken as same 300 Kelvin. Okay. So then N is equal to PV upon RT. Anyway, volume remains same, that we already decided, 2 liters. So now this is equal to, pressure is 0.1 Pascal. So I am taking pressure in Pascals. So I have selected SI system, into volume is 2 liters. So 2 into 10 power minus 3 meter cube upon R must be 8.314 joule per mole per Kelvin, and temperature is 300 Kelvin. And by this you will get the number of moles of oxygen gas. And obviously number of moles of oxygen gas will come out to be very small value, maybe in terms of 10 power minus 6, 10 power minus 5. If you roughly estimate the value, yes, then in terms of 10 power minus 6 or minus 7 like that. So that means very small amount of oxygen is left, and that is the reason why the pressure is 0.1 Pascal. If you convert this 0.1 Pascal in terms of ATM, it comes out to be 10 power minus 6 approximately. So 1 ATM to 10 power minus 6 ATM. So this is the decrease in amount, the decrease in pressure. Now actually you can solve the B part in another way. Actually this is a full-fledged expression, but this much big expression is not necessary. You can solve it another way. Temperature is constant, volume is constant. So in PV is equal to nRT, temperature is constant and volume is constant. So here can we write down P is equal to N and R is anyway constant, RT upon V, which is a constant. So you can write down P is equal to some constant into N. That means P is directly proportional to N. If you remove that constant of proportionality, P directly proportional to N. So now we can write down P1 upon N1 is equal to P2 upon N2. So now you can write down 101,325 pascals upon N1, that is equal to final pressure is 0.1 pascals upon N2. Now can you calculate N1 from the given data, from the original given data? Yes, N1 is equal to PV upon RT, 101,325 pascals into 2 into 10 power minus 3 meter cube upon 8.314 joule per mole per Kelvin into 300 Kelvin. So by this expression you will get N1, and if you substitute there, then you will get the N2 value. That he is asking, amount of the oxygen finally left behind. So either way you can solve this question. And actually calculating this value, simplifying this and finally getting a value for number of moles, it takes time. Without calculator it takes time. So this is what exactly I told you at the beginning. Don't hesitate to use calculator while solving an expression like this. But of course in the exam you won't get such an expression. You need not worry about that. So that is the reason you don't require calculator in the exam. Now let us see the fourth question. Actually we have two flasks. They contain some gas. I think it is hydrogen. Yes, 0.7 moles of hydrogen. Then what you did, you kept one of the vessels in a temperature bath. The role of the temperature bath is that it keeps the temperature of that vessel constant. Actually it is a large amount of water. Maybe the temperature bath may be of water, yeah, maybe of some other liquid. But the role of temperature bath is to keep the temperature of the vessel in which you kept it constant. Okay, so then he is asking what is the final pressure, and he is also asking the amount of hydrogen present in each flask. Okay, now let us visualize the question first. We have two vessels connected by a tube of negligible volume. So you can ignore the volume of that tube, the connecting tube. Then both vessels together contain 0.7 moles of hydrogen. Mind the language. Both the vessels together contain. So the amount of hydrogen present in both the vessels together is 0.7. So in each vessel how much is there? We will see it later. Now they are at 300 Kelvin. This is also 300 and this is also 300. And volume of both the vessels is exactly same. Volume is not given, but he is saying volume is same. So let us say it is V. Then here pressure is given 50.6625 kilopascals. But this is the pressure in which vessel? left hand side vessel or right hand side vessel? 50.6625 kilopascal. And you tell me, this is the pressure of which vessel, which bulb? Actually, whenever two bulbs are connected, they are open to each other. Gas can move. Then pressure in those two vessels, pressure in such vessels cannot be different. So keep it in mind. Thumb rule. Two connected vessels cannot have different pressures. So same. So obviously, pressure of this vessel is 50.6625 pascals. And here also same 50.6625 pascals. So temperature is same, volume is same, pressure is same. So obviously number of moles must be same. So PV is equal to RT, P same, V same, R is anyway constant, T is also same, then obviously N must be same. So if they together contain 0.7 moles, so each should contain 0.35. So number of moles of hydrogen here is 0.35 and number of moles of hydrogen here also 0.35. Now this is the initial situation. Now let us come to the final situation. Same two vessels. Again the volume of the connected tube is negligible. Now if you come to temperature, you kept one of the bulbs, one of the flasks is then immersed in a bath kept at 400 Kelvin. So let us say this is placed in that bath. So its temperature remains 400 Kelvin and its temperature remains at 300 Kelvin. And this is clearly given while the other remains at 300 Kelvin. Now these are the temperatures. Okay. Now volume does not change because you know volume is V is the volume of the vessel. So volume of the vessel is not going to change. Now pressure will change. Now let me write down in this vessel pressure is PF, final pressure, and still these two are connected. The only change you brought about here is you kept this vessel in a bath kept at 400 Kelvin. This is the only thing you did. So these two vessels are still connected. Now if the final pressure here is PF, the final pressure here also must be PF. Because I told you two connected vessels cannot have different pressures, whatever may be the conditions. However you change the temperature, however you change the moles, no way, pressure cannot be different as long as they are connected. So here it is PF. Actually if you remember when we discussed about payload, I told you, you can fill the balloon with hydrogen, very light gas, in fact the lightest gas possible. You can fill a balloon with helium. Actually what we want to make there in payload is weight of the balloon must be, mass of the balloon must be less than mass of the air displaced. Then you will get that buoyancy. So for that you can use hydrogen, you can use helium, or else you can use atmospheric air but at a high temperature. And you please recall that particular example. I told you that you heat the atmospheric air present in the balloon, pressure increases. Now you open the outlet. Inside pressure balloon, the temperature inside the balloon is higher, temperature outside is lower. And when you heat the atmospheric air present in the balloon and you open the outlet, some of the gas will come out. And the gas will continue to come out until the pressures become same. Pressure inside and pressure outside become same. So balloon is connected to outside atmosphere. So in that case, outside atmosphere pressure and balloon pressure cannot be different. So similarly here also. So even though this is at high temperature and it is at low temperature, but as long as they are connected, the pressures cannot be different. So PF, PF. And here we have final moles N2 and here final moles N1, let us say. Moles will be different. Actually moles will be different, that is the reason why pressure is constant. Okay, some of the moles present in this vessel will flow into this vessel, exactly similar to hot air balloon. So moles will be different. but N1 plus N2 is equal to 0.7. This is very clear, obvious. Total moles will not change. N1 plus N2 must be equal to 0.7. They redistribute. If the moles here is X, then the moles here is 0.7 minus X. Okay. Now he is asking what is N2, what is N1. Then he is asking what is the final pressure. The pressure which is same in both the vessels finally, that he is asking. Okay. So what we can do here? You see the expressions which I found. I am not going into calculations again. That you can do with the help of calculator. So first I am calculating the volume of the vessel. Of course, both vessels, both flasks have same volume. So V is equal to nRT upon P. Now number of moles 0.35. These are the initial moles present in both the vessels, each 0.35 each, into 8.314 into temperature initial 300 upon pressure is 50.6625. So 50.6625 pascals. I have taken everything in SI system. 0.35 moles, 8.314 joule per mole per Kelvin, temperature 300 Kelvin, and the pressure in pascals. So you will get the volume, and this volume will not change because this is the volume of the vessel, and it is not going to change. Okay. Now finally, when you kept that right hand side vessel in a temperature bath at 400 Kelvin, and I told you the total number of moles will remain same, that is 0.7. So can I write down this one? Nt is equal to N1 plus N2. The same expression I am using here. We know Nt is 0.7 moles. So 0.7 moles is equal to, I can write down in the place of N PV upon RT. N is equal to PV upon RT. So final pressure PF, volume, let me write down just V, and we got that volume from that expression, upon R. N1, it is the first vessel. This is the vessel, and what is its temperature? 300 plus pressure is same in both the vessels, and volume of both the vessels is same. So upon R into the second vessel is at 400 Kelvin, so into 400. Now here volume we know, we got volume from this expression already. You substitute that value here and you will get the final pressure. So one part is solved. We got the final pressure. Now we require number of moles of hydrogen present in the vessels. So that you can calculate. N1, for example, N1 is equal to, we can write down again, N is equal to PV upon RT. So PF, final pressure, into the volume upon R into 300. Now we can get number of moles here, and N2 is equal to 0.7 minus N1. So from this you will get N1, and from that you will get N2. Actually number of moles in each vessel you can calculate in another way. Once you get the final pressure, then number of moles in each vessel can be calculated this way also. This is one way, and another way is, you see, let me show you another way in which you can calculate number of moles in each vessel. Actually here in both the vessels pressure is same, pressure constant, volume is same, volume constant. So in PV is equal to nRT, the pressure is constant, volume is constant. You can write down this particular expression as PV upon R is equal to N into T, and PV upon R is equal to constant. So we can write down N1 T1 is equal to N2 T2, and N1 upon N2 is equal to T2 upon T1, and T2 is 400 Kelvin, and T1 is 300 Kelvin. So that is equal to 4 upon 3. So that means total moles 0.7. So you can say N1 is equal to 0.4 and N2 is equal to 0.3. And this way also you can calculate number of moles. See, second vessel temperature is 400. First vessel, that means left hand side 300, right hand side 400. So N1 is the number of moles in the left hand side vessel, N2 is the moles in the right hand side vessel. So N1 is to N2 is equal to 4 is to 3, and total moles we know 0.7. So 0.4 moles must be there in this vessel, which is at lower temperature, and 0.3 moles must be in this vessel, which is at higher temperature. This way also you can solve. Now let me come to the question number 5. It is rather a very simple question. We have two gases, oxygen and hydrogen. The masses of both of them are given, and he is asking the total pressure. Volume is given, temperature is given. He is asking the total pressure. So we have 4 grams oxygen. We have 2 grams hydrogen. And the volume of the bulb is 1 liter, and temperature is equal to 0 degree Celsius, and it is obviously 273 Kelvin. And he is asking what is the total pressure, PT, because it is a gaseous mixture. He is asking the total pressure. Okay, here we can write down the expression. PT is equal to NT RT. NT means total moles upon V. See, there is no VT actually, because volume of the gas is volume of the vessel. So volume of oxygen is also V, volume of hydrogen is also V. Basically V is the volume of the vessel. This I have been telling you many times. So it is not VT actually, it is just V. But total moles, total pressure, because pressure is pressure due to hydrogen, partial pressure. Pressure due to oxygen, its partial pressure, and sum of them is equal to total pressure. Dalton's law of partial pressures. So total pressure, total number of moles, but temperature same, volume same for both the gases. Okay. So now you can write down this is equal to number of moles total. So 4 grams of oxygen upon 32 gram per mole of oxygen plus 2 grams of hydrogen upon 2 gram per mole. This is the molar mass of hydrogen. These are the total moles into R. See, you actually, if this question is asked as an objective question, you see the units of pressure given. If it is pascals, then you take everything in SI system. So like that you can change actually by looking at the options. In what unit the examiner wants the pressure, that you can modify. Okay. So suppose if you go for SI system, then it is 8.314 joule per mole per Kelvin into temperature 273 Kelvin upon volume. Volume is 1 liter, and we have to take it as in meter cube. So 1 into 10 power minus 3 meter cube. Now this way you can calculate the total pressure. Here everything is known. everything is known to you. Now, same thing, suppose if you want in ATM. Now here the PT will come out in pascals. Now, if you want the total pressure in ATM, then the moles expression will remain same, 4 gram upon 32 gram per mole plus 2 gram upon 2 gram per mole into 0.0821 liter ATM per mole per Kelvin into 273 Kelvin upon volume in liters. So 1 liter. And anyway you will get the same value. Actually here you will get the value in pascals, here you will get the value in AT. So this is how you can solve this question. Now let us see the sixth question. Actually here one chemical reaction is given to you. So far in previous all the 5 questions, we are given only some gases, and you increase the temperature, you change the pressure, like that. But here for the first time in this assignment we are going to deal with a chemical reaction. And you all know actually how to deal with that chemical reaction, very simple basics actually. So you have taken some amount of methane, you have taken some amount of oxygen, then you allow them to react at a temperature 383 Kelvin, somewhat higher than the room temperature. Then once the reaction is complete, you decrease the temperature to 283 Kelvin. That means 10 degree Celsius. Then he is asking partial pressures of all the compounds left at both the temperatures 283 and 383. Actually it takes little long time to solve this question because so many values you have to find. Okay, you form the expressions first, take care of the units properly, be confident in that part, then you solve each expression with calculator. Okay, let us do that. First let me write down the reaction. Balanced reaction 2CH4, which is a gas, reacts with 3O2, that gives 2CO, which is a gas, plus 4 water, which is also a gas. Actually you did this reaction at 383 Kelvin. So obviously at 383 Kelvin water is a gas because its boiling point is 373 Kelvin and the temperature is still 10 degree more than that. So water is a gas, no surprise. Now here the moles of the two compounds, but before that actually one more thing, what these numbers signify? Actually what do you know about those numbers? Those numbers are called as stoichiometric coefficients. So what do they signify? It is the ratio of number of molecules or number of atoms or number of ions. It is the ratio of number of particles. So it is the number ratio. It is not the weight ratio. This does not mean that 2 gram methane will react with 3 gram oxygen. It means 2 molecules of methane will react with 3 molecules of oxygen to give 2 molecules of CO and 4 molecules of water. It is the ratio of numbers. It is not the ratio of weights. Okay. And you can take it as ratio of moles also because mole is also a number. See 10, 100, 1000. See if 2 molecules of methane reacts with 3 molecules of O2, then can't we say that 200 molecules of methane will react with 300 molecules of O2? Yes. 3000 molecules of O2 will react with 2000 molecules of methane. 2 lakh molecules of methane will react with 3 lakh molecules of O2. So 1000, 100, 2000, 1 lakh, and another such number, just another such number is Avogadro number. 6 into 6.022 into 10 power 23. So 2 into 6.022 into 10 power 23 molecules of methane, that means 2 moles, will react with 3 into 6.022 into 10 power 23 molecules of oxygen, 3 moles. So it is molar ratio, it is molecules ratio, it is number of atoms ratio, but basically it is the ratio of numbers, not the ratio of weights or not the ratio of volumes. It can be sometimes ratio of volumes, but it can never be ratio of weights. It is always the ratio of numbers. Okay. Now, you have taken 0.01 mole of methane, 0.01 mole. That means you all know 0.01 into 6.022 into 10 power 23 molecules. These are the moles, these are the molecules. Avogadro number is just a number. It is something like a dozen. 12 mangoes can also be called as 1 dozen mangoes. So 6.022 into 10 power 23 particles can also be called as 1 mole particles, as simple as that. Okay. Now here oxygen you have taken 0.03 moles. 0.03 moles. That means it is 0.03 into 6.022 into 10 power 23 molecules of oxygen. This is initial amounts you have taken. That means before the reaction. These are the initial amounts. And initially there is no carbon monoxide, there is no water. Obviously, reaction has not started. Now reaction is complete. Then once the reaction is complete, then what are the moles of various species present? Okay. Now you see these numbers very carefully. Actually here number of molecules of oxygen must be 1.5 times the number of molecules of methane, that is according to the balanced reaction. If you take X molecules of methane, you have to take 1.5x molecules of oxygen. 1.5x molecules of oxygen is sufficient. But here you have taken more than that. See, we have taken 0.01 moles of methane. So if we have taken 0.015 moles of oxygen, that would be sufficient. But we have taken large excess of that. So some of the amount of oxygen will be left behind, and methane will be completely reacted. No amount of methane is left, but oxygen is left because oxygen we have taken in more than required amount. Required amount is only 1.5 times the amount of methane, but you have taken more than that. So we can say final amounts after the reaction now the methane, amount of methane left behind is 0. It is completely reacted, and amount of oxygen left behind is 0.03 initially taken originally, minus the amount of oxygen reacted will be 0.015, 1.5 times the amount of methane. That is what is required actually. So this amount will be left behind. Now the amount of carbon monoxide formed, how much amount of methane reacted, so much amount of carbon monoxide is formed, because the ratio is same, 2:2. So amount of carbon monoxide is 0.01 mole. These are all moles actually, and amount of water formed is twice the amount of carbon monoxide formed, 0.02. So this is the final situation. No methane is left. Some of the oxygen is left because oxygen you have taken more than required amount. So some amount of it will be left unreacted, and these are the amounts of CO and water formed. Now what he is asking, A short while after completion of the reaction, the flask is cooled to 283 Kelvin, at which temperature water is condensed. Obviously, we also know that. And he is asking the volume of the flask. So, come to the first part, A. Volume is equal to nRT upon P. And to calculate volume, you can take either initial conditions or final conditions, because volume of the flask will not change. So, if you take initial conditions, then initially how many moles we have taken? 0.04. So, 0.04 moles. Suppose if you want volume in liters, so you take everything accordingly, moles, R value, temperature, pressure in ATM. If you want volume in meter cube, then you take everything in the SI system, that is up to you. So, this is the number of moles into 8.314 joule per mole per Kelvin, and temperature is given here 383 Kelvin, initial conditions, 383 Kelvin upon pressure 101.325 kilopascals. So, 101.325 pascals. In that case, we will get volume in meter cube. Volume in meter cube. Now, if you want volume in liters, then accordingly you can convert that, not a problem. So, first part is complete. Now, second part if you see, then he is asking partial pressures of various species at different temperatures. Okay. Now, let me write here. This is the B part. Actually, at 383 Kelvin, everything is a gas. Of course, methane is not left. So, partial pressure of methane at 383 Kelvin and 283 Kelvin. At both temperatures, it is 0 because methane is not left. It is completely reacted. Okay. Now, if you come to partial pressure of oxygen at 383 Kelvin, so P is equal to nRT upon V. Moles of oxygen left is 0.015 into R into temperature 383 Kelvin upon volume, and here we got volume. So, you substitute volume there, this volume there, and you take the proper value of R depending upon the units of pressure you want, then you will get the partial pressure. Similarly, partial pressure of carbon monoxide, same at 383 Kelvin is equal to carbon monoxide number of moles 0.01 into R into 383 upon same V, because you know V is the volume of the vessel. Carbon monoxide volume is also same. Oxygen volume is also same. If water is a gas, then volume of the water gas is also same. Then you can say partial pressure of water at 383 Kelvin, that is equal to water moles 0.02, and at this temperature water is a gas. So, we can use PV is equal to nRT into 383 upon V, and partial pressure of water at 283 Kelvin is almost equal to 0. Why it is not exactly 0? Actually, at this level, at this time actually, you may not understand that, but you know every liquid exerts some pressure. You know that is not the pressure due to the liquid, that is due to the vapor. Liquid to some extent evaporates and that vapor exerts pressure, and that is what is called as the vapor pressure of that liquid. That we will see later, don't worry. So, at this time you can take it almost equal to 0, but that is not exactly equal to 0. Okay. So, then you can calculate the partial pressures of oxygen and carbon monoxide at 283 Kelvin in a similar way. Number of moles same. If you decrease the temperature, number of moles will not change. Volume same. Volume of the vessel is not going to change. Only temperatures will change. So you can calculate the partial pressures at that temperature at 283 Kelvin. So this is how you can solve this question. Initially volume is calculated, then you substitute that volume in the PV is equal to nRT, and you substitute the required values, and units must be properly taken care of, and you please mind it. And the rest you can solve every expression with calculator. Now let me explain question number 7 and 8 together. They involve almost same concept. So let me discuss both of them together. So if you come to question number 7, actually we have a tube in which there is mercury, and some air is trapped in the tube. Now you keep the tube vertical, in a vertical position with open and up. Then you keep the same tube in a vertical position with open and down. Then he is asking, if you do that, then what is the volume of the air? How the volume of the air changes? Okay. Actually, we have initially a tube like this. And this is the mercury column. And this is the air trapped. That is air. And he is saying that mercury column length is 8 centimeters and air column length is 10 centimeters. This is initial condition. Now, you have kept the same tube now like this, vertical with open end up. Okay. Now, obviously the mercury column will be like this, and this is the trapped air. Okay, and if you keep the tube like this, vertical with open end down, and now this is the mercury column, and this is the trapped air. Okay, if it is 10 centimeters initially, then what would be the length of the air column if you keep the tube like this? And what would be the length of the same air column if you keep the tube like this with open end down? That he is asking. Actually, we have taken the tube initially like this, horizontal. Then we have kept it like this. Then we have kept it like this. During these changes, tell me whether temperature changes, or else did he change the temperature? Did he mention anything about temperature in the question, in the entire question? 10 centimeter column of air is there, then tube is held horizontally, then it is held vertically, and open and down, open and up. In the entire question, nothing is mentioned about temperature. Can you take temperature to be constant? Yes. Then second, a tube like this is kept like this. Do you think by doing this number of moles of the gas will change? No, cannot. So in the entire process, from here to here, from here to here, temperature is constant and number of moles also constant. In that case, PV becomes equal to constant, Boyle's law. At constant temperature and for a fixed amount of gas, pressure is inversely proportional to volume. So this is what is Boyle's law. So you can apply Boyle's law. So now see. Now let us say this is initial condition, condition 1. This is another condition 2, and this is another condition 3. Vertical with open end down. That is third condition. Vertical with open end up. second condition, and horizontal initial position, that is 1. So now we can write down P1, one expression, P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. So P1, pressure of the gas. Now see, it is kept horizontal. So the mercury is resting on the walls of the tube. Mercury is not exerting its own pressure on the air. So the pressure exerted on air column here is nothing but pressure of the atmospheric air. So mercury has no contribution in that, because mercury is entirely resting on the walls of the tube and it is exerting pressure on the walls of the tube, not on the air column trapped. So the pressure of this particular air column, if you write in terms of centimeters of mercury, then it is 76 centimeters of mercury. It is nothing but atmospheric pressure. Do you agree, all of you? A tube is horizontal like this and mercury is resting on the walls of the tube. So the pressure exerted on the air column is the pressure of the atmospheric air, nothing else, into its volume. So we can write down volume like this. The length of the air column is 10 centimeters. Now let us say the area of cross section, which we do not know, we can take capital A centimeter square. Now this is the total volume in centimeter cube. So this is the length of the air column, this is the area of cross section. So this is the volume of the air. Now that is equal to P2 V2. Pressure 2. Now you see this situation here. Now mercury is exerting pressure on the air column. Now it is resting on the air column. Now it is not resting on the walls of the tube. So now the pressure felt by this particular trapped air will be the sum of the atmospheric pressure, because here atmosphere is exerting its pressure. So sum of the atmospheric pressure plus pressure due to mercury. So the final pressure will be 76. This is due to atmospheric pressure plus 8 centimeter. The height of the mercury column will not change. So 8 centimeter. This is the new pressure. And into volume. The length of the air column, let us say it is H centimeter into A centimeter square. Now A and A get cancelled, you will get H. So this is what he is asking. When you keep the tube like this vertical with open end up, what will be the length of the air column? Now this is nothing but the length of the air column. Area of cross section will remain same. Okay. Now another expression, P1 V1 is equal to P3 V3. Now come to the situation third. This is the first one, this is the second one. P1 V1 is equal to P3 V3. Now we can write down P1 V1 same. 76 centimeters of Hg atmospheric pressure into 10 centimeter into A centimeter square, that is equal to, now see what is the final pressure of this trapped air. Now actually mercury is resting on the atmospheric air. The mercury is exerting pressure on the atmospheric air. So here what happens is, from at the bottom surface the pressure is due to atmosphere, but this mercury is exerting pressure in the opposite direction. So it is opposing the atmospheric pressure. Here it is supporting the atmospheric pressure. Here both pressures are in same direction, so we add them. But here the pressures are in opposite direction. Mercury is exerting pressure downwards and atmospheric pressure is exerting its pressure upwards. So it is a difference. So it is 76 minus 8 centimeters. This is the pressure of that air column. Because 76 is exerted by the atmosphere in the upward direction and this 8 centimeters is in the downward direction. So net pressure is 76 minus 8 centimeters into, let us say it is H2 centimeters and let us say it is H3 centimeters. So H3 into A centimeter square. Area of cross section does not change. Now this is another expression. From this you will get the length of the air column in this case and length of the air column in this case. So this is how we can do this question, 7th question. Now let us come to the 8th question. I already told you, actually 8th question involves a similar concept. Okay, here actually there is a vessel in which there is air column, and above that air column we have mercury. The height of the mercury column and air columns are given. Now you heated the gas, the trapped gas, and due to that the mercury has spilled because there is no space actually. When you heat the gas, its pressure increases, the mercury level rises, and you have already filled the mercury to the brim of the vessel. So obviously it spills. Then he is asking what is the final temperature? The temperature to which you have heated that ideal gas. Okay. Now initially the situation is like this. This is air and this is mercury, and this is actually piston. The height of the air column 0.6 meters. The height of the mercury column 0.6 meters. Because he has clearly given in the question half filled with ideal gas and another half with mercury. So 1.2 meter total height. So 0.6 meters air and 0.6 meters mercury. Okay, and after that, final situation, if you depict it in the form of a diagram, then it will be something like this. Now this is the new position of the piston. Now this is mercury, this is air, and the height of this will be 0.3 meters and the height of this will be 0.9 meters because half of the mercury spilled, he is saying. As a result, half of the mercury spills. So calculate the final temperature. Now here, if you look at the air, now what properties of air are changing? We are heating it. So temperature is changing. Half of the mercury spills. So volume is changing. And pressure is also changing. Because now there is only half of the amount of mercury. So pressure obviously changes. So temperature changes, volume changes and pressure changes. Only thing constant is number of moles. So obviously we can use, this is the situation 1, this is the situation 2. So we can write down P1 V1 upon T1 is equal to P2 V2 upon T2 because only moles are constant. So when moles are constant, then PV upon T becomes constant. Okay, so if you come to P1, then it is, you see, on this surface, atmosphere is exerting its pressure and mercury column also exerting its own pressure. So the total pressure will be 76, that is atmospheric pressure, plus 60. 70 centimeters of Hg plus 60 centimeters of Hg. This is the atmospheric pressure in terms of the height of mercury and this is the height of the mercury. So 76 plus 60 centimeters into volume of the air. We can say 60 centimeters into a centimeter square, which is area of the cross section. Now this is the volume. Upon temperature is, initial temperature is given to you, that is 300 Kelvin, 27 degrees Celsius, so 300 Kelvin. Now that is equal to final pressure. Now here also atmospheric pressure is exerting here. Atmospheric air is exerting its own pressure and here the mercury is also exerting its pressure. So now the final pressure will be 76, which is due to atmosphere, plus 30, which is due to mercury. So into volume of the air, 90 centimeters into a centimeter square upon final temperature. Now if you solve it, you will get the final temperature. PV upon T is equal to constant. P1 V1 upon T1 is equal to P2 V2 upon T2, because only number of moles are constant. Now let us come to the question number 9. Actually here you are given a mixture of two gases. Overall density of that mixture is given to you, 1.5 gram per liter. Temperature is given, pressure is given, and he is asking what is the mole percentage of carbon monoxide in the gaseous mixture. Mole percentage. Okay. Now actually, if you start with PV is equal to nRT, and if you write down this as mass upon molar mass, N is equal to mass upon molar mass, RT. And if you rearrange this, then you will get PM is equal to M upon V RT. And you can write down M upon V as the density. So finally PM is equal to rho RT. This you know actually. We did this in our previous class also. Now density is given to you, pressure is given to you, temperature is given to you. But here in the question, the gas given to you is not pure. It is a mixture of gases. It is a mixture of gases. So we can write down pressure, the total pressure of the gas mixture, partial pressure of the first gas. Here the gases are carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. So whatever pressure is given to you, 730 mm of Hg, that is the total pressure. Partial pressure of carbon monoxide plus partial pressure of CO2. So P total, molar mass average, you can say resultant molar mass. Yeah, here actually you may find some difficulty in understanding this. Now let me discuss that in detail, don't worry. That is equal to density resultant, let me write down R, molar mass average, molar mass of the gas mixture. You know, if you have only one gas, then simply it is molar mass. But here we have mixture of two gases, so it is molar mass average. Similarly, resultant density into R into temperature. Now here if you write down whatever is given to you, pressure total, let me write down here, pressure total is equal to partial pressure of CO plus partial pressure of CO2. That is given to you, that is 730 mm of Hg. Temperature is given to you, that is 30 degrees Celsius. So 303 Kelvin. And rho resultant is given to you, that is 1.5 gram per liter. Now this is the data given to you, and he is asking mole percentage of CO. So mole percentage of CO, percentage moles of CO is equal to number of moles of CO upon total moles into 100. Now this we require. Now all of you look at that expression carefully. P total into molar mass average, because mixture of gases is given to you. Resultant density of the gases, gas mixture, into R into T. Now total pressure is given to you. Rho resultant is given to you. Temperature is given to you. Now molar mass average is not given to you, and he is asking mole percentage of CO. Okay, what do you mean by molar mass average? How do you calculate average molar mass? Now see, molar mass average is equal to, now let us say, in this gas mixture, total number of moles of CO and CO2, total number of moles of CO and CO2 is N. Then let us say number of moles of carbon monoxide is X, then number of moles of carbon dioxide will be N minus X. X is the moles of CO, N is the total moles. So number of moles of CO2 will be N minus X. So M average, can I write down like this? X moles into 44 gram per mole. We have taken moles of carbon monoxide as X. So it is not 44, it is 28 molar mass of carbon monoxide, 16 plus 12. So 28 gram per mole plus N minus X. These are the moles of carbon dioxide. N is the total moles into 44 gram per mole. 44 gram per mole. This is the molar mass of carbon dioxide upon total moles, that is N. And let me write down here, total moles is equal to N, moles of carbon monoxide is equal to X, then moles of carbon dioxide is equal to N minus X. Now all of you look at that expression. M average is equal to moles of one component into its molar mass plus moles of another component into its molar mass, so on. Suppose if you have three components, write down three expressions. Moles of each component into molar mass of that component and summation upon total moles. So how we got this? How can you say that this will give you the average molar mass? It is very simple. Let me take a very simple example. How do you calculate the average marks of a batch? Suppose there is an exam conducted in a particular section, and in that section there are 50 students. Now see, suppose there is a section of students, and in that section we have 50 students. There is a test conducted, result was announced. Each and every student knows his or her marks. Now the teacher wants the average marks of that section. So how the teacher can calculate that? Suppose you see, out of 50 students, 10 students got 92, 5 students got 95, 92 marks out of 100, and 5 students got 95 out of 100, and 25 students got 80 marks out of 100, 25 plus 5, 30 plus 40, the rest 10 students got 75. Now the teacher wants the average marks. So the average marks of that section is equal to 10 into 92. 10 students got 92, 10 into 92 plus 5 into 95 plus 25 into 80 plus 10 into 75. These are the total marks upon total students, that is 50. Now this is how you calculate the average mass. Exactly similarly I calculated average molar mass. We have some moles of CO and molar mass of CO is 20 gram per mole. So multiplication. We have some moles of carbon dioxide and 44 gram per mole is its molar mass. Upon total moles, you will get the average molar mass. So here you substitute this average molar mass here in this expression. You see, PT is known to you, that is 730 mm of Hg. Average molar mass, you can write it like that, and resultant rho is given to you 1.5 gram per liter, and temperature is also given to you. And finally, if you want the expression, actually this is just an example I have taken. To explain how you can calculate the average molar mass. Now, if you come to the expression, then PT, that is 730 mm of Hg upon 760. We have to convert this into ATM. So, 730 mm of Hg upon 760 mm of Hg. Now you will get pressure in ATM. Of course, this is per ATM. Then we have M average. In the case of M average, you can write down this expression, the entire expression. That is equal to rho density 1.5 gram per liter. You need not change the units because I have already taken the pressure in ATM. This is the average density into R should be in liter ATM per mole per Kelvin. Liter ATM per mole per Kelvin into temperature 303 Kelvin. And in M average we have X and N, and finally the mole percentage of CO will be X upon N into 100. We need not calculate the X separately. In fact, we cannot do that actually. And we don't want N separately, we want X upon N. And you multiply X upon N with 100, you will get the answer. That is the mole percentage of carbon monoxide. Now let us come to the last question, question number 10. You have an open vessel. In that there is some amount of air present. Then you heated that. Then he is asking final temperature to which you have heated that. And he has given that some fraction of air has left that vessel, expelled. So you are asked about the final temperature. Actually here, if you take a open vessel, and in that there is atmospheric air, it is open to atmosphere. Now you heated it. You increase the temperature of that vessel. Now you tell me what will happen to the pressure inside the vessel. It is open to atmosphere. So pressure cannot be anything different from 1 atm. Pressure must be 1 atm because it is open to atmosphere. I told you already, two balloons connected to each other cannot have different pressures. Two vessels connected to each other cannot have different pressures. However, you may change their temperatures, but pressure remains same. Here also same thing. The vessel is connected to atmosphere. So these two pressures cannot be same. So pressure remains constant. One thing, pressure is constant when you heat it. Okay, then what happens to the volume? See, V is the volume of the vessel. So vessel's volume will not change. So V is also constant. And in PV is equal to nRT, P is constant and V is constant. And R is anyway constant. So you can write down N into T is equal to PV upon R, and that is equal to constant. So you can write down N1 T1 is equal to N2 T2, or you can write down N1 upon N2 is equal to T2 upon T1. Now we can apply this particular expression. Okay. Now let me substitute the values. N1 upon, actually here he is saying that 3/5 of the air has been expelled. So how much is left? 2/5. 3 upon 5 fraction of the air has been expelled. So obviously the remaining is 2 upon 5 of the original moles, whatever may be the original moles. So now can I write down N2 as 0.4 N1? Because 0.6 N1 has been expelled, 3/5. So 2/5 remaining. So 0.4 N1 is remaining. So that is equal to N1 upon N2, that is equal to T2. T2 we require, and T1 given to you, that is 27 degrees Celsius. Now that is 300 Kelvin. Now we can write down T2 is equal to N1 and N1 get cancelled. So T2 becomes equal to 300 upon 0.4. Now this is the final expression. 300 Kelvin upon 0.4. Now that is the final answer. Simple. N1 upon N2 is equal to T2 upon T1 because P is constant, V is constant. V is the vessel's volume, cannot change. And P remains constant because it is open to atmosphere. If it were a closed vessel, then pressure would have been different. But it is open to atmosphere, so its pressure cannot be different. It remains at 180. Now this is the final temperature T2.